Well, hello everybody. This video I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking to you about the chapter discussions. It's kind of a two-part proposition. You need to do original post, which has two parts to it, and you need to do a follow-up post, and it's kind of broken down into three different areas of the follow-up post, and you need to do at least three of the follow-up posts to get full credit. So let me get out of the way. I've put together a sample chapter 0 for you to look at, and I need to get into the student mode just so I can show you that first. So there we go, and I've got it deployed in the 16th week. So our chapter 2 discussion, with all the discussions, again the two parts. The first part, you need to tell the class what you found most interesting about the chapter. Was it something completely new to you, or was it something you just found interesting? We're talking about 2-3 sentences at the most. So this is something really simple, and it's actually worth 10 points. So if you look at the rubric down here, it's 10% of the grade, and it's either all or none. So you either do it or you don't. The other section is going to be on the chapter review, and we've got that chapter review posted down here. I'll show you how to download it in a minute. Typically, there's between maybe 15 to 20 questions or terms that you need to look at, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, and you need to answer every one of them. If you want to get full credit. I understand there's occasionally times where you're going to not get all of them. There are occasionally times that you may, you've got to get at least 70% of them answered, or you're not going to get credit for the post whatsoever. In fact, I'll delete the post out so that you can't take the exam until you do a proper one. You do it too often where you only answer 4 or 5 questions, and I'm going to start thinking you're deliberately cheating to look at other people's work. So then you won't be allowed to take the exam. Let's not do that. You need to answer as many of the terms as possible. Again, there may be occasions where you can't find one, but just do your best. And there's never an occasion when you can't find half of them, or even less than 70 or 80%. In fact, in order to get any credit, you need to answer at least 80%. If you're less than 80%, you get 0 points out of the 60 point. If you complete at least 80%, but not 90%, you get 80% of the 60 points. If you have 90 or better, you can get 90% of the 60 points, and if you answer all of them, you'll get 100%. So make sure you get all of them answered. The second part of it is going to be your follow-up post, and these are very important. This is the whole rationale behind this. The purpose for these is to kind of force the students into studying for the exam. Looking at your own work is great, but you're not necessarily going to find all the answers that you need. So when you have an opportunity to share your work with your fellow students, this works out great. I'll tell you, this is how I got through graduate school. We shared our exam reviews. We actually had one person who was in charge of collecting all the material, sent the parts of the questions out to at least 2, maybe 3 different students, collected all the answers, and then sent them back to everybody, and we used that as our study guide. I tried to get students here at Alvin College to do that, not very successfully. The last couple of police academies, we've been able to get them to do it. And you can see the increase in grades once they start doing it, from the beginning of the academy to when they're actually gelling and work together. Well, this is kind of forcing you to do that. And it doesn't do any good if you just put your answers and don't look at them. So the follow-up post, you need to look for at least 3 of your fellow students' posts, or actually get more than one term from a single student. That would be allowed. But you need to look for an answer that is different than yours. Now, if they didn't put an answer down, okay, technically that's different than yours, but they don't have an answer. You can't compare their answer to your answer if they don't have an answer. The same thing goes the reverse. You can't compare their answer to your answer if they got an answer and you didn't. that is simply, we got an answer here, I don't know which one, and we don't have one here, so this one must be right. Well, that's not the case. We're looking for you to try to find the differences and then, talk about it. You'll learn something this way, and that's the whole key to this. So what you need to do is, once you find one that you want to talk about that's different than your answer, then what you'll do is you'll post the term number and what the term is into you'll click on reply on that student's post. You will then post the answer number and the term, and then you'll put their answer. You can copy and paste this from their document, and I'll show you how you do that. Then you will take your answer, and it can't be blank, because then you can't compare. You can't compare theirs to a blank because, well, there's nothing to compare. So you have to have answered the question, and you will post your answer in and identify it. Here's my answer. And then the discussion part. You're going to look at the difference between and come to a conclusion. And you're going to back it up. That, well, A, their answer is correct and yours was wrong. Hey, I see I found in the book that, your answer came right from the book and I was a little confused and mine's wrong. Or you can say, hey, great job on this answer, but I don't think you're correct. Because if you look on page 370 in the book, you see that my answer is the correct answer. Or, and this is probably more common, both answers are correct. Hey, your answer was in the book, it's right. But then I got my answer from the video presentation at the 3-minute point. Mr. Foss said this, and, I think that's right too. I don't know which one's going to be on the test, but that is probably going to be the more common. But you backed it up. You said reason that, hey, it was in the book, or it was in the video, or, if nothing else, I searched on Google and found that answer. That's, anything that will help you study. You will not get credit unless you do all these. And we'll look at the rubric on the follow-up post. So it's broken down into 3 areas. 1, you have to comment on another student's post that is non-blank. So if you just comment on one student's post, if you take their answer and post it on your comment on just one, you get 33%, or basically 3 points, because it's a 10-point section. If you do it on 2, you get the 6 points. If you do it on 3 of them, then you get the full 10 points. Now, the next step is including your answer. And again, if your answer was blank, then that doesn't count. You don't get credit for a blank answer, because that is no way to compare it. So you don't get credit for that. But if you actually put your answer there, you get pretty much 3 1/3 points for each one of the answers that you put down on these separate posts. And they do have to be separate posts. If you comment on the same person on 3 different topics or terms, put them in 3 different posts. It's for grading purposes. Otherwise, it just won't work. The rubric won't work. And then the final thing is the discussion. Did you include the discussion between the differences? And again, it's 3 1/3 points for each one where you actually discussed and gave the answer as to what was different. Okay, so what you're going to do is you'll open up this the study guide, and we'll click on that. And in this case, it's going to open into a Google document because of the way I have my stuff set up. Probably the better way to do it is to actually save it to your computer by right-clicking in Windows, right-clicking, and then hitting Save Link. And then wherever you save it, make sure you remember that location, because, if you don't remember it, it's going to be a little difficult to find it. Again, I'm a little older than you. I lose things real easy, so I definitely have to make sure I know where it's at. In this case, I have, I've actually, where'd it go? Okay, there it is. I have downloaded, and I didn't have it in the right place, but I've downloaded. Here is the chapter 0, and it only had 3 terms to look at. I had to keep it simple. So you would save it to your computer. Then as you're watching the video and reading the chapter, you fill them in. So when I see what's in the video about police or reading the chapter in the book about police, I'd type it in. Same thing with courts and same thing with corrections. And I'm going to work on it real quick. And there it is. So my answers are the civil force of a nation or local government responsible for prevention and detection of crime and maintenance of public order. And I found that on page 23. Nah, that's made up page, but but that's where it is. Okay, and then courts. I had a definition of courts and corrections. And again, I included page numbers, which makes it easy not just for you, but for the other students to kind of go check things. See which one's right, see which one's wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy my answers by simply highlighting everything, right-clicking and hitting copy, hitting Control V or Control C to copy it, and so forth. Whatever method you use to copy it to the buffer. So we're now going to go back to, if I can get to the right one. Once you've got your answers ready, we'll go ahead and click on discussion. And as it is, it's you have to post first before you can read anything else. So we're going to create a thread. We'll call it Chapter 0. And it's going to be Preview Student. So put your name. And this one is called Preview Student. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we're going to put what we found most interesting about the chapter. And I can't type, but okay, so I like that it talked about all 3 areas of the criminal justice field. I did not know that there were 3 areas. Whatever, something short like that. Go ahead and hit enter a couple times to move to a blank line. Then you will hit, in this case, you have to hit Control V to paste it. Blackboard has updated their web browser, and now we can click on Keep Formatting here, and it will keep all the formatting, so it's much easier to read with the terms in light blue and the answers on the white page. So you just do that. Once you have done that, then you simply, oops, I'm in the way, click on Submit, and now you can get in there and comment on some of these. So again, there'll be more students. I'm the preview student, so I'm going to look at the post by the instructor or another student, in this case. So what I've looked at for police, his answer was that it's an English rock band, which from the 1960s, which was a very good band. In case you don't know them, this is the Police. Give it a second. Maybe some of you recognize that. Okay, so it's a correct answer, but probably not the answer we're looking for. So I think I'm going to reply on this answer, and I'm going to highlight it all. And again, I'm going to copy that to the buffer. So in this case, I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to click on Reply. And then I'm going to paste it in there. And now it shows, again, keeping the format. It shows that question 1 was the police and so forth. And then I'm going to put my answer in there. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my Word document and have my answer. I don't need to put the term in there again because it's already there. I just, again, copy it into the buffer. Come back here and paste it. And identify it as your answer. As long as you identify one as your answer and the other one I'll figure out is their answer. And then you're going to talk about the differences. Okay, I think my answer is the best, though yours is true. We are not studying music. Something simple like that. So now I've answered that one. So we're going to hit submit. Now we've got that in there. Now, for the sake of showing you things that are not good answers, we'll say that he got the courts, and whoops, we'll do the corrections one. And you got that answer. I've again copied it to the buffer by highlighting it and hitting Control C. I hit reply, and in this case, I'm going to paste it in, and then I'll simply say, I could not find okay. So we're going to submit that. This is not an allowable, or you're not going to get full credit for this. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now we're going to do one more where I'm simply going to reply. Let's say he did not get an answer to courts. And I will say, and I'll go back to find my answer, cut and paste it into the document again, and again. Okay, so now I've got several different answers to kind of show you how the rubric's going to work. We are going to now exit out of the student one, and I'm going to go into the needs grading as soon as it comes up. I'll show you the super secret side of Grade Center. Okay. The recording program has covered part of my screen, so I couldn't get to it, but now I can. Okay, so when I get into this grading mode, you're going to see what I see. This is the reason I need to see their answer and not just yours, because I'm not reading the post. I'm actually reading just what you put. So for this, it starts backwards. So I look at here, and I see that, yes, this student put in what they liked, so they're going to get credit for that. And they've answered all of the questions, so they'll get credit for that. So I'll go to the rubric, and if you want to show a description, I will show that you completed all the terms, so that's worth 60 points. Had they only completed one term, or less than 80%, or at least 80 but less than 90, they would have gotten 48 points, and if it was 90 to 154 points. So we got 100% there. And they gave the answer. And again, the only option is you did it or you didn't. Now let's look at these other answers. Well, the first one that shows up, this one, they did everything. So we're going to give them credit for all levels. I'm just going to click on here so I know that we've already got one level. This is just kind of a way of grading it instead of going back and forth. Now I'm going to read the second one. Well, they've got the answer that the other student did, but they didn't find the answer, so they can't do a discussion. So they don't get credit for their answer or the discussion. So let me go back over here. We're going to change this one to two of them for the other student's post, but leave the other two the same. And then we're going to look at their last post. And in this one, they didn't put anything from the other student. They did put their answer, but again, they can't have a discussion. So I'm going to come down here and give them credit for doing two of their own, but not doing one for the other student or doing the discussion. So now we will look and see what our score is. I will click on the Save Rubric, and you will see that the score was 86.665. So you didn't get full credit. They got full credit for the original post, but not for the follow-up post. I hope this helps it, makes it easier for y'all to understand, and that everybody will get everything right and do everything as it's needed. Good luck on them, and I see my cat's waiting to come inside, so I got to go, guys. We'll talk to you later.